Cutler Bank. And so we look forward to that program. But before we begin, I want to reintroduce someone to you. Cindy Ingersoll, would you mind standing, please? Come this way. Those of you that are new to the area, to the Cutler Bay Business Association, this lady is the one who started this organization.
Many years ago.
Yes, we're talking about 7.5, almost 8 years ago.
Yeah, for a long time.
Yeah.
My name's no longer Ingersoll. Yeah, last name is Dickey.
Very good. Well, we're glad that you're here, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew you were the one. You can't hear it? You can hear it now.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I remember the first meeting that I attended, which was the second meeting of the organization, and there were some concerns about the direction that this organization was going to go, and the concern was that it was going to become some political group, and it was going to all be focused on politics, and that was not what Cindy wanted. And so, because that's not what Cindy wanted, ever since that time, we have determined to honor that vision that she had for the Cutler Bay Business Association. And so while we sometimes ask politicians to come and visit with us, we usually focus on businesses. And I hope this microphone is sounding better out there than it is to me. But we have the honor of having Peggy Bell and Art Nanni with us today. They are the candidates for the mayor of Cutler Bay. And so today they will be receiving questions from you and others that they will be able to give an answer. And hopefully, if it satisfies you, you'll know the person that you want to vote for. We're going to give them now 2 minutes each. We'll start with Peggy, and she will introduce herself, give a bio. Before we do that, sorry, you're right. Forgive me. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to start with Peggy, if you'll give a brief bio.
Thank you, Darryl, Cindy, board, and members. For those of you that don't know me, and we'll go back into hundreds of years of history, I came to Florida with Eastern Airlines and ended up with Pan Am. Did consulting work for 20 years for airlines. I'm married to my husband, who's here today. We're there. For 34 years, we have a son in college. For 30 years, my husband and I have had a small business, Bell's Tree Farm. We also have a pickup truck in our driveway. I think there's been, someone has said that we don't understand the common man. We are the common man. Since the economy downturn, the recession, our farm has been as successful as it used to be. And so my husband is now working a second job. I think you know how when housing went, trees went basically the same way as housing. And because of that, I understand the concerns facing the business community in this sluggish economy after the Great Recession. My passion has been working for our community. I did some grassroots efforts back in, the 90s, early in the 2000s, by helping to incorporate, as member of the steering committee, working to keep a detention center from locating next to our elementary school. We weren't successful in that, unfortunately. And keeping a power plant from locating next to our residential area. Many of you don't even know they were going to do that. Their name was Enron. But we were successful in that one. And then we also were concerned about getting our fair share from the county. We were not getting our fair share. We had 2 active officers for 40 square miles, all the way from Key Biscayne to Biscayne Bay, to Chrome, and all the way from Kendall to the Keys. 2 officers. That was our main reason for incorporating. I've been on the council now 8.5 years. I'm proud of my service, and it's been a real honor to represent your town. I've never missed a meeting. I think that's an important part of being a business owner, and in a way, as council member, I'm working for a business. I've worked with 3 different mayors and 3 different councils. I've had a hand in every decision, many times taking the lead, but I feel it's a team effort, and that's what I want to bring to the town as your mayor, a fantastic team of public servants, not politicians, that will be open to your ideas. One thing that I will mention, and again, many things that I believe I've worked on over the years, but I was instrumental in helping to obtain 72 acres of parkland, which is now Lakes by the Bay, and the wetland area right behind it. That community was promised, and I knew because I lived there, and I remember my son, who's now 21, we used to take his stroller back where the property was, and there was no park there. They were promised that for 25 years, and it finally, I was told it was never going to happen. I said, don't tell me something's never going to happen, and that was a real passion. Regarding the business community in specifically, our community has grown, our town has grown for 40% in the last 8 years. I believe good schools attract residents who will patronize our businesses. We have student intern program now from the students at Cutler Bay High, soon to be called Cutler Bay High. I started a youth council as liaison to address issues in our community through their eyes as our future business leaders. We put $3 million, I didn't, we did as a team, into our new high school, and $150,000 commitment for the middle school and the high school for every year, and we have a 6-year contract. I believe we need to, and I've talked to Dr. Feldman, we need to open up that contract to add more student seats for our high school and to do some more work on our middle school. I hear that my time is up, and I will yield the floor. Thank you.
I would like to give Art Nanni an opportunity to give a brief bio of himself.
Well, it's afternoon now, so good afternoon. I want to thank the CBBA, the board, and the members for having us here this afternoon. I am running for mayor. I've lived in this town for 55 years. I've been married for 29 years and raised 6 children here. They've all attended the local schools. And I now have grandchildren going to the same schools that their parents did. I've been a public servant for over 31 years. I started my law enforcement career in 1975. And I continued on with the Miami-Dade Police Department through the year of 2006. My last 17 years were in the Homicide Bureau, where I handled homicide investigations. Throughout my career, I've learned what it will take to be a leader, because the first thing that a leader has to have is he has to care. That's the first important step that a leader must bring to the table. A leader must be competent. He must be credible. And above all, he has to learn to work with other entities and other people. One of my big things, as they used to tell me, is that I was a heck of an interviewer. That's because I like to talk. More importantly, I like to listen. That's what you do as an interview, you listen. So I grew my 31 years to listen to people, helping them. And by listening, I was able to develop a team concept where I was able to take members from my team, talk to them, bring them forward, and we were able to solve different crimes. You know, when you're all of a sudden thrown out in the spotlight on a police shooting where a cop is killed, there's no book on how to be a leader. You're in the spotlight, you stand up, you take the lead, and you do what you have to do. That's what I did for 31 years. With that said, I'm also from a mom and pop heritage. My mom and dad, my grandparents, they all used to own Italian restaurants up in Pennsylvania. So I grew up watching them work day in, day out, making a living for themselves and for their families. When we came down here, my father became a salesman. Eventually he bought his own business, and again we became another mom and pop in South Florida, right here in the town of Cutler Ridge. We now call it Cutler Bay. From there, when we hit the recession in the 70s, we didn't stop. We then opened up a marine business, and I operated that marine business while I went to school and college. Again, we were in a luxury business, and when we hit the recession, it was time to close the doors, and I moved on to my full-time career with the police department. So I know what it does take for businesses to keep your doors open, and I know what it will take for this town to help our businesses grow. And we'll talk a little bit more about what I want to do as your elected mayor, if you're kind enough to vote me in, is to foster a culture of local government helping small businesses grow. And we'll talk more about that. Thank you.
Thank you both. I'm going to start off with the first question, and that is directed to Art. What experience will you bring to the job of mayor? What experience will you bring to the job of mayor?
Well, one of the things that I will do is work with my colleagues. I will foster that team concept of bringing an understanding that we have to work together in order to help the citizens of the town. You got to remember that this is not about me or anyone else. It's about you, the citizens, and the business owners of this town. It's called customer service. And I strongly believe in that from my years of being in a mom and pop business, that you are the customer and you are the ones that will make the decisions and guide this town for the next several years. I will bring that to the dais, not only with my colleagues, but I know how to reach out to other entities and other municipalities and work with them to make us strong throughout South Florida as a city.
I'd give the same question to Peggy. What experience will you bring to the job of mayor?
Thank you. Well, I did mention my 8.5 years of serving on the council. I served as council member for the first 4 years, and we started the city, and I say we because it was a group effort with all the citizens and those of us who had worked for incorporation and the new council. I remember John Cosgrove would come to our meetings that we held in folding chairs at the library, and he had, I wish I had it here, a little cardboard box, and he said, "This is town hall." So I hope you can see, and he had to seal it, and he had a gavel, and that was really all we needed. I hope you can see the improvements that have happened in the last 8.5 years. I believe I can bring that experience, and I think there is no substitute for experience. I waited my turn. I was happy to serve as council member. Asked to serve as mayor in 2010. I said, no, I'm happy to serve my community in this position. And I was asked to serve as commissioner. I said, absolutely not, I'm not running for commissioner. My heart's here in Cutler Bay, and I'm ready to be mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Art, who has endorsed your candidacy for mayor? That is major organizations.
My wife, she has endorsed my candidacy. As far as organizations, I don't have any endorsements, but I have a lot of other endorsements from people that have been retired, that handled major police departments, and in other cities. One was Fred Taylor, who retired and was our director for many, many years. And I have endorsements from Nick Sincor, the former mayor of Homestead. And I have other people, and they're all individuals.
Peggy, who has endorsed your candidacy for mayor? That is major organizations.
Major organizations, I have been honored to receive the endorsement of Save Dave. I have received the endorsement from the Pets Trust. And just this morning, I was very honored to receive the Miami Association of Realtors endorsement as well. Just want to mention that numerous governmental people holding office, I would say, have endorsed me. Dwight Bullard, State Representative, Mayor Shelley Stanzik from Palmetto Bay, Mayor Phil Stoddard from South Miami, Mayor Cindy Lerner from Pinecrest, and many others. I've been able to develop really good relationships. They know the kind of person I am, and they're supporting me. Thank you.
Thank you. Art, there are 3 types of businesses in Cutler Bay. What are you planning to do to enhance the retail, commercial, and professional businesses in our community?
Well, in order to enhance the businesses, as I had mentioned earlier, it's called fostering a culture of local government working with our small businesses. Basically stated, without going into great details, which I believe we'll be glad to towards the end, it's making this town business friendly. When I have talked to the business owners, people that have just moved in, their biggest complaint is we're not business friendly. It's taken a long time for them to open up their doors. It's costing them money to come to this town to start their business. Do we need to sit down?
May I have the question again, please?
Yes, there are 3 types of businesses in Cutler Bay. What are you planning to do to enhance the retail, commercial, and professional businesses in our community?
Well, I did have something also to wrap up in that regard, but I'll mention it now. Because I have a good relationship with our surrounding cities, I'm urging them to partner with us to bring in more businesses and to help our existing businesses. I think we need to work to form a coalition to obtain mass transit, which will help our businesses. Our mall is designated a transportation hub. Better modes of transportation will boost businesses. Certain items in particular, I have a plan to attract new businesses, which I had spoke of several months ago regarding restaurants and other entertainment opportunities at this meeting several months ago, and to support our existing businesses. My first part of my plan is to get the word out that Cutler Bay can give tax credits for new businesses locating to our town, reduce permit fees in certain areas, in certain circumstances where they're appropriate if they locate here. Cutler Bay has been a leader in environmental issues. Tax credits issued to our existing businesses, which would more affect you, who do green upgrades and to make their businesses expanded. I think having certain provisions, such as hiring our own residents to create jobs, will be the way we can support our businesses.
Thank you. Art, since from our schools, our businesses draw our employees, we're concerned about their academic achievement. What do you plan to do to help our local schools increase the Florida Department of Education grade from the C average?
I will continue to work with the Miami-Dade School Board to continue to enhance all of our schools so that they can all be rated A with their neighbors to the north. The only way to do that is to build bonds of a city to another large county entity and work with them so that they will enhance our schools with the extra funding that that schools deserve.
Thank you. Well, as I mentioned, that we did put $3 million in to create a new high school and $150,000 yearly from our budget to produce the best technology, to continue with it, which changes so much, as we all know. I've also been working with the school district to, for instance, recently we were able to bring sports to our school of choice, our high school. They said that can't be done. Cutler Bay took the lead on that. Happy to say I was instrumental in working in that. Our current mayor gave me the ability to take the lead on that. And the kids were really upset because they had been training for sports and swimming in particular, and they weren't able to do it at the high school. So now they can, and not only that, now we set the tone, and Dr. Feldman, our representative of the school board, told me all schools now will have that same opportunity.
Thank you. Hold the microphone. Yeah, we're going to go to the question. This next question. No town, Cutler Bay employee jobs would be cut in the proposed $36.6 million spending plan, which is up from $35 million this year. What will you do to make sure that these costs do not continue to rise? The employee jobs?
Talking in particular costs of having employees at town hall? Okay, well, when we started, we had, as I said, very few officers. We do have 52 licensed officers, active officers, and that's a major part of our budget. And I think most people really want that to be a major part of our budget. Our employee staff is very thin. We have 32 employees with town hall. We do a lot of cross-training so that they can multitask, do different jobs. We have directors with very few staff underneath them because they take an active role in what they do. And I did fight for, and I have to take the credit for, reducing our millage rate to what it was never. And our original millage rate was 3.44 that we adopted from the county, and now it's 3.39. I'm sorry, I said 2.44, 2.39, correct. And thank you, Mr. Nanni. And it's one of the things that keeping costs down we've been able to do, and I'm really proud to say that we now have $20 million in reserve because of being prudent over the years.
Okay, thank you. Art. No town of Cutler Bay employee jobs would be cut in the proposed $36.6 million spending plan, which is up from $35 million this year. What will you do to make sure that these costs do not continue to rise?
Well, the first thing is, I don't know whether I would have went to 2.39 millage rate. You know, when we talk about police officers on the street, this council may have put the new council in a bind, because they did drop it down quite a bit, although our property values went up 8%. And in fact, they were asking for more cops to be on the street. There's no money there to do it. This town is growing rapidly. So, with that said, I have to evaluate the budget next year to make sure that our citizens and our businesses are secure and safe, and take a look at the overall cost of doing business in this town, and hopefully we should be able to actually add more staff if the property values go up next year.
Thank you. Along the lines in regard to the tax millage rate, the council voted to do a rollback for property taxes. Do you see the same thing for business permit fees and business taxes? Do you support a rise in business fees or permit fees?
Thank you. No, that's one of my plans to increase the viability of our existing businesses and bringing new businesses back to the town, attracting new businesses. Be able to perhaps reduce our permit fees, get new businesses in here, or if existing business wants to expand or do some kind of improvements in their business, to look at those fees and see if those are where we can do some cut to encourage, because we really do need to support our business community. And we also need to look into tax incentives for existing businesses when they want to enlarge their business, they want to green their business, or if they have other reasons that they can come to us. I really want to strongly work on that. That's something that's very important to me.
Art, the council voted to roll back taxes, property taxes. Do you see the same thing for business and permit fees? And do you support a rise in business fees and permit fees?
I do not support a rise in business fees, especially now when the economy is still struggling and people are still trying to get back on their feet. But there are other ways to help the businesses grow. And for 8 years, Councilwoman Peggy Bell has had the opportunity to roll back these taxes on businesses. And I'm not sure where she has been in the last 8 years when it's come to the taxes on businesses. So we can move towards building our small businesses by forming the business committee that should have been started 8 years ago when this town became a city.
Thank you. Peggy, business owners have a concern for security. The current budget does not allow for additional officers, police officers that is. What are your plans for boosting security and with regard to our police force in the town? Are we to assume that the town will seek a handout through grants to get these additional funds for the needed officers?
It's a really good question. Thank you. Yes, I did want to respond also to Mr. Nanni's discussion about the rollback rate. Had we not gone to the rollback rate, property value went up 8%. It'd be a tax increase for our residents. We feel in this sluggish economy, our residents could not take that. So we looked at it, worked on it, reduced in some areas where we could. We didn't reduce any essential services. We didn't take any police officers off the street. We did a not a survey, a study, if you will, how our crime is doing in the town. We have one of the lowest crime rates of any city in Dade County. We did not need desperately the one more officer at this time. It was not felt that that one officer would make a big difference. That said, however, we are looking at ways throughout the year we could still make some changes that if we need another officer, we will add them. You can't just look at our population and look at the statistics for other cities. Our city has less crime than some of those other cities. So the actual numbers are not as important as the effect that they're using.
Business owners have a concern for security. The current budget does not allow for additional officers. What are your plans for boosting security with regard to our town police force? Are we to assume that the town will seek a handout through grants to get the additional needed police officers?
Grants is one way of bringing money into the town to staff their police department with extra officers. It's not the only way of doing it. Again, our property taxes did go up 8%, and we are probably one of the only cities where it did rise at a rapid rate. Rolling the property tax rate back to where you have to dip into reserves, and we dipped into our reserves again, and yes, we do have the highest reserve rate of any municipality. You have to wonder, we could have still rolled back your taxes, given you a tax break without cutting out the prospects of bringing in more police in the future to keep this town secure. With that said, there are other avenues at this particular stage to pursue and possibly bring in more police in, but then you have to dip in the reserves.
Art, you've got the microphone. Computerizing building permits to be able to lock up old permits, mainly roof permits for insurance, windstorm, mitigation credits. Are you in favor of computerizing this permit process?